Hi, do you love horses? Because at Cavago Stories, we love horses. We love them a lot. We'll be talking to notable and amazing equestrian personalities from around the world. Our podcast, Cavago Stories, is on Spotify, Google Podcast, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. You can subscribe now or write to us at support@mycavago.com. That's support@mycavago.com. May the horse be with you. Hi, welcome. I'm Tauseef. I'm the CEO and founder of Cavago, a horse company for the horse world, by the horse world. I'm so delighted to speak to one of my dear friends, Aliya Al Marzooqi. They're one of the best hosts that we have on Cavago from Jiyad Stables. Aliya is really a female role model, a trailblazer in many ways, leading the way for females to compete from the region on the FEI platform. She's been educated in Australia, is of course Emirati, and really a phenomenal horse person. And what I really admire about her is that everything they do for horses comes from the heart. So I could not be happier speaking to her on this call. Aliya, welcome.
Thank you, Tauseef. Likewise. Glad to
So
share passion.
we definitely share a passion, and I know we go back a long way. It's great to be able to connect this passion and bring it under this platform of, say, Cavago. Al Jiyad has been one of the most successful hosts on the platform early in the launch of this platform. So I'd love to be able to hear your perspective on that. We'll definitely talk about that. But maybe we can start with the start. Tell me about how you guys got started with Al Jiyad.
So basically, LGR Stable is, it wasn't really a stable per se for people to come ride and have fun. We weren't willing to share our horses in the past. It was purely family, my dad, my brothers, my mom. We love our horses so much. And then we realized we're having a bit too many horses and it was getting difficult to manage everything. And then, of course, we all shared the same passion and we didn't want to let go of any of our horses because of finances. So we decided, okay, maybe we can start, having some hacks, teaching some people to ride a horse. It's just going to give us the extra cash to make sure that everything flows as it is. And here we are. This is in 1997, by the way. So it's quite a long time ago we decided to do that. So yeah, around 20 years ago.
That's extraordinary. And I must say that in these 20 years, when somebody speaks about riding an Arabian horse in the deserts surrounding Dubai, only one name really pops up, and that's Al Jiyad. I mean, it's such a famous place. It's got such character, and all your horses are happy. Remind me, how many horses do you have? Because it seems endless.
We have 120 at the moment that are ours, and we do have some that are by livery. So there's somebody else, but they are staying in our stables. So yeah, that is a lot of horses.
That's a lot of horses, and to do it out of passion, presumably you're giving all of these horses sometimes a second life or a third life in many ways,
Yeah.
because they had a previous career, and then you kind of rehabilitated so many of them. Tell me more about that.
We usually we get horses that are off the endurance track most of the time, and with those kind of horses, it's quite difficult to actually do much in terms of, well, how are you going to work with them? They have the stamina to go for so long, but at the same time, because of where they were, they may have sustained injuries, etc., etc., etc. So it is a rehabilitation process. It is the understanding every horse is an individual. And my brother Hussein has done so much about it. He's actually ended up studying zoology as a result of it. So, and it's purely because he wants to tie in the psychology of the horse alongside the actual individualism of every single horse. And that's the same with people. I mean, one doctor will not prescribe the same medicine for everybody. So it's the same kind of thing. Some horses just need love. I mean, we had a horse who was He was off the track for endurance when he was around 10 or 12, and he was phobic. He was misused as a colt, and we could tell that because of the way he was. It wasn't because of the stable he came from. We knew the people there, and then they couldn't do much with him. So we took him in. We loved him. He definitely tried to kill us more than once, but yeah, we went too far enough into having so much faith in this horse that, you know, he's little, he's compact, and we named him Rocket. And I remember my niece would come in and call him with Wocket. So sometimes we call him Wocket, sometimes we call him Rocket. It's quite cute. But Rocket was basically, he broke the world record for 100 kilometers at the age of 17.
So he's lived up to his name at a good old age.
Exactly. He's tiny. He's really tiny. He's not even 15 hands high. He's less than 15 hands high. And I was the one person who always rode him, so there was a size, you know, we kind of fit each other because I'm not that big either. But yeah, that's one example. Rocket lived to be around 31. Unfortunately, he's no longer with us.
Yeah.
He passed away last year. And we do have another horse that unfortunately did also pass away last year at 31 too. There's this thing about, I think, 31, they turned 31.
Really good old age. I mean, in context, that's like a person exceeding the age of 90.
Yes. So most of our horses, they're happy. They live to be quite old, and they still love to be just working, moving. And I mean, when they're really old, so for example, we have another horse who's off the flat race track.
Okay.
What he's doing right now is hippotherapy. He's actually the one horse that we use for hippotherapy. And he loves kids. He just connects with them really, really nicely. And we do it for kids with Down syndrome, autism, even mobility issues. And he's just so gentle with them. Like, he can feel the slightest move of the reins. And he's a pure Arabian. Of course, some people will go like, no, we're never putting our kids on an Arabian. But, you know, they're very, very loving horses. And we like to share that love that they have with other people. And we want people to know that, you know, just because they may be known as they have a mind of their own, they certainly do. And by that meaning, they will love you if you love them. So they're quite picky as well. But they do give people a chance.
I personally love Arabians. Of course, I grew up riding Arabians, and I've had the privilege of riding so many of your horses at Al Jiyad, and working with some of them as well. I think Arabians give you back so much because they're very relationship oriented.
Exactly.
And that leads me to ask you a question. You know, the Arab culture is so rich in association with horses, and Arabian horses have been prized. I know they used to share living space back when people would live in tents as Bedouins. Tell me more about that old historic relationship, the poetry associated with it. I think it's an extraordinary story.
So, well, basically, there's plenty of movies as well in the media. I think the one I can relate to the most is Hidalgo, if you know that one. And it really shows you how they really prize Arabian horses to the point that the cousin wanted to steal it from the uncle, etc. And it is like that. It really is like that. Like right now, we've got Sheikh Hamad bin Rashid. He's the biggest horse owner in the world. And the reason is he wants to make sure he keeps all the lineages of all the pedigrees of most of the horses that he really likes. The Kingdom of Bahrain, they have a Arabian breed that is so pure, and it's the Hamdani. And they've taken care of it so well that it is only Hamdani. You know, because Arabians come under Hamdani, Kailan, Wajdan, and etc. So basically, you know, they've taken very good care of just preserving that specific strain of a pedigree. And you're not a stranger to Dubai. We have the beauty show all the time where people boast about the way that the horses look like. And there's many collectors for beautiful horses. And all they do is sit on a couch and watch them. Honestly, they just have pure serenity and peace just doing that. And it's purely out of love. Like this beautiful, gorgeous animal. And mind you, And if I may, so basically, the Prophet Sulaiman, peace be upon him, he was one of the first prophets when God created the horse. And he was the only prophet to have known to miss the prayer because he was looking at the beauty of a horse. That's
Wow.
how beautiful and how much we kind of adorn them, that we agree with him. They're magnificent creatures. I don't call them animals. They are creatures. They are not animals. And we believe that they are made from the wind, to say the least.
Yes, absolutely. There's so many folklore stories, and of course, all these wonderful historical passages, like the one you just told us about. Um, and that's what I love about the history and the heritage of the Arabian horse. You know, uh, I remember the first booking that ever happened on Cavago was for Al Jiyad.
Yeah.
And I remember speaking to the German couple who had come in only to ride an Arabian horse in the desert. And when the inquiry came through, they basically said, where's the best place where we can ride a pure Arabian horse, experience the wind between his ears? I think that's how they said it. And I, without hesitation, I said, here's the link, it's Al Jiyad. And for far-flung Germany, around the world, the love of the Arabian horse is still there, and it manifested in it where these people had traveled from Germany to be able to experience the horse in his native desert land. What an extraordinary experience that was.
I wanted to ask you a few things about Cavago now that you mentioned your first bookings in Cavago, because I remember when you first were sharing the whole idea of Cavago to us and everything, and I was really excited personally. Really excited to make sure I always find a place that has a stable where I'm going to travel next, and I always use Cavago for that. But um, I know one of the major challenges that this year that you launched was COVID-19,
Yes.
which is really it's an impact to most of the tourist agency or travel in general. So people are all kind of anchored into where they are. But hopefully, when humankind has proven that we are going to overcome this together, hopefully we will soon, inshallah. But how do you think you're going to be able to actually pick up and, you know, go ahead and continue this and expand even further?
What a great question. Look, Aliya, there is no doubt that we launched the site in March, which is when the whole world sort of began to come to terms with the fact that this is a global pandemic. Up until then, it was an isolated problem in China to some extent. So from a timing standpoint, it couldn't be worse. However, like you said, I think human beings are resilient, and we will find a vaccine or a way around this this very tragic sort of event in our collective human societies. So no doubt it's impacted how we thought about Cavago and folks traveling around the world to experience cultures of horses, be it someone flying in from Germany to Dubai or somebody from Dubai going into, say, Portugal, etc. But what's extraordinary, Aliya, and I think Al Jiyad is an example of that. I still remember it was July 25th, and we had approximately 800 people visit the Cavago website. And then we had a flurry of bookings, only to Al Jiyad. And I get pins and needles when I think about it. It's because I think people within Dubai realized riding horses is a COVID safe experience. And there's also this sentiment to say, I still want to be able to live my life. What things can I do to make me feel human and connected to the earth again? Because social isolation is hard,
It is.
right? And so I still remember that day, and it was probably a turning point for me in terms of my realization that there's definitely this pent-up demand for folks who want to be able to ride. It's different. Instead of riding internationally, you can ride locally. Also, working from home and being under quarantine, so to speak, has enabled people to kind of also utilize their time differently. So when they do have leisure time, they're spending quality time. And I think there's nothing better in terms of quality of time than being on the back of a horse or next to a horse. And that's my personal experience, but the feedback that we're receiving across the board is extraordinary. And particularly Al Jiyad. To me, I think you guys are the most successful host on the platform. And what's amazing is that this platform really, Cavago won't be successful unless the host is really successful, right? The way that the model is set up, and the feedback we hear is not the experience of how to use the app or the site. It's about, we were received so well. We had a lovely horse. We had a lovely time. We will definitely come back again. And bearing in mind, the 25th of July, it's extremely hot in Dubai.
Yes.
And yet people are still flocking to the stables.
Yeah.
And now it's interesting because we can start to see trends where there's one gentleman, I noticed that he wakes up at around 4:30 in the morning, makes his booking, and he's on the horse by 6 a.m. at Al Jiyad.
Yes.
And he brings his friends. It's a weekly occurrence, every Friday, so it's a weekend in Dubai. So to answer your question, I think we've certainly obviously pivoted a little bit to say ride local, because riding internationally is harder.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, we've got some bookings coming out of Portugal, where somebody has decided to travel because there's a little bit more flexibility and they want to give themselves more time abroad rather than be cooped up in their local environments. So they're spending a bit longer going somewhere else and to maximize their time next to a horse. So we're seeing that behavior. So that's the second way to answer your question. I think finally also, human beings have this ability to bounce back. And I think when this COVID pandemic becomes a lot more manageable, I don't know whether we'll have a cure and a vaccine and a silver lining or a silver bullet, so to speak. I think it's going to be gradual, but I think people will be resilient and they will bounce back and they will ask themselves, what do they truly want? And the people who love horses will truly want to be around horses. And I can say from personal experience, and I'm sure you'll empathize with both horse people in that sense and horse lovers. I can't wait to go back to Spain. I can't wait to come back to Dubai and get on a horse. In fact, I can't wait to go nearby and ride on a weekly basis. So we will have this behavior where people introspect, look at themselves in the mirror and say, my life has to be next to these wonderful creatures, and experience the best of them.
Truly said. Definitely. Horses are something that once you attach or understand how they are, you can never detach yourself from. And with Cavago, we're definitely making that closer to lots of people. And some people have started to explore their passion and understand what it is, and also learn how to deal with new things as well. And the fact that it gives the people flexibility to do their bookings anytime, that really does is a bit of a bonus for many people, really. Also for us, like we don't have to worry too much as a host. We really enjoy the fact that the bookings come in and they're within our time limit that we can work with, and it's quite comfortable for us to receive. My receptionist is very happy to deal with it all the time. They're always like, oh, okay, it's quite uniform. It comes in here. Okay, we do this, we do that, which is great. But now in general, say, so this is all the type of things that are going to be happening, say, in the next year. What about in the long term? So I remember I was discussing things about, Tauseef, are you covering any more stables in Eurasia? Have you gone to Central Asia? I'm still going to ask you that question because that is something that is a burning desire in myself.
Wow.
So basically, long term.
So Aliya, I love it because I think when you go to Central Asia, we'll end up going together, and I'll explain why, because that's one of my dreams as well. Look, longer term, the Cavago's future overall is quite exciting. I want to see all the iconic equestrian facilities and destinations and experiences on the platform. I really want to be that central. I want Cavago to be that central place where a horse lover resides online, be it on the app or be it on the web platform. And so we are aggregating hosts at an extraordinary speed. We have more than 30 countries represented on the platform already. As far away as, I mean, we had the newest registration was from the Dominican Republic, another from Turkey. So we are expanding, we are growing. It's free for any host to register with us. So the barrier to entry for a host is next to nothing. And then what we do is we assess their property, their experiences, and then add them onto Cavago. So you can actually go for a basic ride, like a lesson. You can go for a hack, in your case, the desert. You can go on a fully fledged horse holiday in Portugal and learn dressage. You can go and ride with wildebeest, zebras, and lions in Africa over a 5 or 6 day trip. So the options are more or less unlimited. You can even buy a ticket for a horse show on the Cavago platform. So with all these possibilities, and there's hundreds of thousands of horse properties, amazing ones. So the sky is the limit in that sense. When it comes to Central Asia, we have a couple of places from Mongolia, which are just stunning. One of them is a charity ride as well, and we'd love to support some of these charities as well. And I can't wait to go there myself. I mean, they come from such a rich experience and background of horse, of equestrian culture in that sense. I'd love to go to those
horses.
Very hardy horses, right? And the horsemen, the people who ride them are also extraordinary horses. They can stay on that horse. So I've never experienced anything like that. I'm lucky to have ridden many different breeds of horses, from say Icelandic horses to Andalusian horses to, of course, Arabians, thoroughbreds, quarter horses, but I've never ridden a Mongolian horse. So for me, that would be pretty interesting.
Where would your legs reach?
Well, you're closer to the ground.
Because they're quite small, but you know the nice thing about small horses? They're like rocket.
They're like rockets. Yeah. I mean, the Icelandic horse was like that. They're really powerful. They move beautifully, very comfortable actually. Mongolia in Central Asia is one of those places. Kyrgyzstan is a place that I'd love to have.
It's beautiful. I went there, and honestly, when I was there, it felt like horse heaven.
Really?
Saw green and horses as far as the eye can see. So that's the one place I'm really keen on you putting on Cavago, please.
Then we will find it. We will find a few hosts in Kyrgyzstan. And for that matter, Kazakhstan. I've seen some lovely horses out there.
Area. It's the same area. They're neighbors.
Absolutely. So you know what, the global horse culture is where Cavago is really best. It's, the platform is so nimble. It's designed for you to be able to ride next door, so ride locally to anywhere on the planet. So, we will have places from Central Asia, but we'll also have places from South America. We do have some from Australia, where obviously you've spent many years, to Scandinavia, to the UK, to Africa, South Africa. We've got a couple of lovely properties out there. So when you ask about the long term, the future of Cavago, I think it's incredibly healthy because there are some gems around the horse world. You know that, I know that. And sometimes we need to be able to shine the torchlight and represent them. And really, Cavago's mission is to make these hosts as successful as possible, have them thrive through the Cavago platform. I often say that horse people and horse businesses are very good at working in the business. So Cavago is really designed to optimize the host experience, to ensure that hosts are in a better place to work on the business as well as in the business. So in your case, as a host, for example, we're getting traffic on the LGR page. People are booking within a few clicks, and then they turn up with their voucher, and your team is ready, knowing that there's either a beginner rider or an advanced rider coming. Therefore, you can prepare your horses. The great thing about the app is that now, you must have seen it, you get a push notification telling you that somebody has booked a ride at 6 p.m. or 6 a.m. the following day. So you need not be in the office. You need not be next to the phone. And I think that's a great advantage for hosts. Plus, we also try and represent our hosts by promoting them through our social media platforms, our Google ads, etc. Again, designed to ensure that these gems in the horse world are represented in the best way possible. So we endure these close relationships with our hosts, you're one of them. And I think we would love to continue to build that relationship, because for me, and I think for Cavago overall, this is about the horse community coming together.
So I can tell that there's something exciting that we should be expecting soon. I don't know if you can give me a heads up about that, hopefully, just before we finish. I'd really like to know a bit of tips and tricks of what's about to be unfolding soon, Tauseef.
With you, we are quite transparent and open. We've shared a lot of ideas. What's exciting about Cavago is that we've already enabled some proprietary technology to ensure that Cavago is very visible through the Google platforms, which means that searching, for example, horse riding lessons in Dubai, you will see Cavago come up on the first page. So on pure tech, we've actually built our fundamentals pretty well. What's exciting is that we are actually not only offering now programs where somebody can physically go to a place, we're actually launching some virtual programs as well. So you can learn virtually. So we have a world-renowned horse photographer who will be running virtual clinics on how to photograph a horse more effectively. And you can buy into that course. That's incredibly exciting. Similarly, we have some trainers who can talk about their specific methods through their virtual programs. That's again very, very exciting. And of course, that helps them in this current COVID situation as well. So that's just a couple of examples. We'll also be going big on some of our social media platforms. We're doing a launch event for the app in about 6 weeks' time, where it will be the global horse community coming together and just really enjoying the company of other horse people. We often say that there's only two kinds of people. There are horse lovers and the other kind.
Yep.
We're definitely the horse lovers.
That one's the exciting one.
Absolutely. Aliya, earlier you mentioned, about His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid, is one of the biggest horse owners in the world. Certainly very famous, be it Godolphin, be the endurance pursuits. And of course, you've been very closely associated with that. I have actually been at Al-Jiyad when the very famous Mercedes G-Class with the #1 plate rolls in, and everybody's jaw drops. And he acquaints Al-Jiyad quite regularly. That must be a very special experience.
That is. It's like, say, because he knows what we do. He's very well associated with my personal whole journey, my father's personal horse journey, and my brother's personal horse journey. Because being one of the very few females, he's very well associated with me, and he always had my back when people. Because in my culture, I mean, being a female to ride horses is a bit of a war when I started doing it. So he always had my back, which was great. I mean, he did, my father did, my brother didn't. And now we have ladies' horses, races, and we have even races for female or mares, you could say. So they're very female-oriented at the moment. There's more feminism than there isn't before, and it's great. He loves being there. He loves coming by, taking a look at the horses, and it's great to have his support and stamp of approval, I would say.
He's such a role model, and to see his presence there. He physically shows what it means to be a great leader and a great horseman. To be there, I've certainly, been so excited to see him at Al-Jiyad.
Sometimes he would actually randomly ask about a specific horse that he knew was lame on the previous day, for example, or he would just take a look at the ponies, or like he would just pop out and ask a random question and just go, just making sure horses are fine. He's always kind of like shadowed every single horseman in the United Arab Emirates, and he's got this way of making you feel that you can go on, you can do it, and your horse is all you need. I've had the privilege to ride with him in 2 to 3 rides, some in the UAE and one in the UK. The one in the UK is actually 160, and he's just. It was great. It was absolutely magnificent to be able to have a conversation with him about lots of things. And they always came back to what a horse is like. No matter what it was, it would always come back to a horse. And it just shows you how much horses mean in, as we said in the start, about our culture and how our characters unfold. Because I personally believe that horses give you a way of understanding empathy, of understanding leadership, of understanding a lot of different things. And you, Tausif, can agree on this because you do actually do different kinds of programs in that.
Mhm.
So a thing that I remember, because I recently changed jobs, and the general manager had to do my final interview before I got the job. And the first thing he said, "So I heard you're a horse rider." And I told him, "Yeah." He said, "So what's the biggest distance you've done?" And I told him, "Well, I did 160." And he said, "Perfect, you've got the job." And I was like, "What?" And he said, "If you could do 160 on a horse, you can do anything I ask you because you have the determination and you did the 160 to prove it." So, it was funny, but he had a point, because all endurance riders are determined, always finish whatever we started. And it's something you kind of learn and have drilled into you ever since you started loving horses. You have to always finish the race, no matter what place you come in.
Well said, Alia. And what I remember, you said something to me that was very defining, and to this day, I often quote it. And you talked about the relationship with horses, and I remember you were next to your horse Trust, who I absolutely love him. He's such a
He was actually
engaging.
made by Sheikh Mohammed. It's funny how,
Really?
yeah, how I came about that horse was quite funny. Me and my father went to the quarantine, and he was there, and I just couldn't get my eyes off him. And my dad just told me, "I need your help. Just come over." I was around. So I was like, "Okay, cool." And Sheikh Mohammed came by. We didn't expect him,
Okay.
but he did come by. Basically, when we came in and he asked me to trot the horses, I trotted all of them, and he was the only horse that I trotted differently. So he actually realized that I really liked him, and I thought, and he asked me, he's like, "Do you like this horse?" And I said, "Yeah, I feel he'd be a really fine horse." And he told me, "If you like him so much, you can keep him." And without hesitation, I just took the lead, the rope, and I tied it on the other side, jumped on his back, and rode him to the stable. And that's
Extraordinary
how I knew
story.
about
He's such a special horse. What an extraordinary story. Um, so
it.
you had said to me, again, we were standing next to Trust, if I remember correctly, and you said the special relationship with a horse is that this animal trusts you so much that when you get on their back, they don't know where you're going to take them,
Yeah,
but they're very happy to go with you. And what a nice demonstration of partnership, isn't it?
yeah, it certainly is. It certainly is. And I always say that to kids all the time when I used to train. I unfortunately don't have enough time to train anymore, but when I did, I would always tell the kids, it's like, if you're so scared, think about a horse that is so big, and then you're sitting on their back, and they just do what you tell them to do when you don't tell them why. And then they kind of pick up their confidence and go ahead and enjoy the ride. So it's very, very trust oriented.
It's one of the most profound things that I've heard, and I often quote you on it.
Thanks.
Um, Alia, it's been such a pleasure speaking to you, and I'm so happy that you're on the platform, on the
Likewise.
Cavago platform, and I'm so happy that you're succeeding and thriving on it, and it makes me so happy to see all these bookings come in, and I still get butterflies in my stomach every time a booking comes in because I'm so excited for
Great.
you. And it's the first thing I do when I wake up as a startup entrepreneur. I check the bookings, and when the LGR bookings come in, I'm so pleased. I'm also so satisfied because I know they're going to be honored with such diligence and care. We've had just fantastic feedback from the LGR stable. So
Let me know
we're
if you get anything not positive. We're gonna fix it. We love fixing it. I always love running into random people who I see who apparently have been to this table, and I grab them and I'm like, look, you can tell me anything, just anything negative. Just let me know. We want to fix it. And they're like, you guys are fantastic.
You guys
So,
are
like
fantastic.
Yeah.
So, of course, any feedback, it's our duty to communicate back to you, and really continuing to improve the rider experience or the guest experience is very, very important. But also equally important to me is improving the host experience, because if our hosts are really happy, there is no doubt that our customers and our riders and our guests will be very happy. So I look forward to that continued journey. These are really exciting times for us.
Yes.
Aliya, so what a delightful conversation. I've really enjoyed speaking to you and sharing these stories. Aliya, I am so proud and I'm so happy about Al Jiyad being a host. And more importantly, I'm so proud of our friendship. And you continue to be such a role model for riders across the world, especially in the Middle East, being such a trailblazer. Both this and your extraordinary work on sustainability for the government and changing the world. I wish you continued success in all spheres of your life. I'm so happy to speak to you and get a glimpse of your world.
Thank you, Tauseef. Thank you. I'm always happy to share these kind of experiences and stuff I learned, because I mean, what's the point of having knowledge if you don't share it? That's one thing I definitely believe in, and it's always bigger when you share it. You know, just more experiences, more knowledge, and definitely a lot more horses. So just absolutely pleased to be part of the Cavago from LGR Stables, and we hope we continue to keep up to the expectations of the people who are happy to come join us for a ride at any time. Thank you very much, Tauseef.
You can subscribe now on Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. Or you can write to us at support@mycavago.com. That's support@mycavago.com. Thank you for listening in. We can't wait to hear from you. May the horse be with you.